And a special thank you to Alex the Pug Porto. Very interesting name. Legend in the business. Like I said before, it's always really cool to interview people who just are legends in the business. WWE. He had a really interesting stint in WWE. Not the best, but definitely memorable enough to share stories with us and be on the show. So it's definitely cool. Alex the Pug Porto. I remember him from Global Wrestling Federation. I was a big fan of Global Wrestling Federation back in the day. I would always come after school and watch it on ESPN. It was so cool to watch, and I mean, it's interesting because I think about promotions like Global Wrestling Federation and ECW. Global lasted for 4 years. ECW lasted for 7 years, and within those two promotions, stars within just that short of time. Both lasted less than 10 years and still lasted, it created so many stars within the company. So I can see that, I can see a flavor of the week coming up soon. Maybe we'll talk about the best, the top stars of GWF or just really recalling GWF. It's really cool to hear Alex, to blast from the past, very successful career in Global Wrestling Federation and also the World Wrestling Council as well in Puerto Rico. Those being popular in global in Puerto Rico gave him an opportunity to compete in the WWE. Now it's interesting. I never knew that Pritchard just kind of told him to come because, the advent of Raw and the advent of, just really that kind of edgy type of television that he hired people specifically to be kind of glorified enhancement talents. Like, I wonder, it's funny just to see as a wrestler, if I was a professional wrestler right now and I get a call from the WWE to say, hey, you know what? We're going to hire you, but your sole purpose is to be a jobber. I mean, I really don't know how I receive that, especially with, I think I talked to last week, we were talking with Lance Archer, um, just the advent of independent wrestling nowadays and just how popular it is and how you don't have to necessarily be in WWE to really make in the professional wrestling business. Of course, I've been in WrestleMania a couple times. Someone would be ridiculous if they say that they don't want to at least feel that WrestleMania moment as a competitor at least once. But at the same time, the past interview from the Young Bucks, they said it well. It's one of those things that at this point in time, they can retire from the professional wrestling business and they'll be much more popular than a whole lot of other names in the WWE. Now, I have my particular, critiques on the Young Bucks, but they know how to promote. They know how to make themselves important. They know how to brand very, very, very well. And we saw that with just the success of the All In event, as far as just sales wise. So, kudos to people who know how to plug their brand to make it harder for WWE just to say that it's us or nothing anymore. That's not really the case. So I think people like Porto, if he was around nowadays, I think that there'll be a better opportunity for him to grow stock because as we've seen with people like, Drew McIntyre, Jinder Mahal, they can leave WWE and especially Drew, they can grow and they can build an independent presence. Drew, he competed back in the UK and his time in Impact Wrestling. And he developed an absolutely fantastic resume, on his own route back to WWE. So it's pretty. It's not as hard to make it outside of WWE as it used to be, and unfortunately for people like Alex Porto, great. I remember watching him as a wrestler. Great kind of shoot style competitor. However, he was 20 years ago. It wasn't. I mean, there was hardly ever any strong at all independent presence to really say that I made it or I'm going to build my stock. So, I think a character like Alex Porto was just really good, but just at the wrong time, unfortunately. I think we've seen that with many characters. Just 20 years ago, early 90s, mid 90s, even late 90s, really good characters, but just in a bad time that they can't really build the stock of the character. Nowadays, you can do that. So, got a lot to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. We got Daniel Bryan to talk about tonight. Just some interesting discussions going on with Daniel Bryan as far as just him and his contract. We've got we're going to talk about some cool heel stuff. I mean, we've talked about that quite a bit on the show, but it's an interesting topic. It's always an interesting topic to talk about, and we've got some veteran opinion on it by way of Don Callis. We'll talk about that as well. Also talk about Daniel Bryan and Brock Lesnar. It's the dream match that one of them, according to the other person, don't really care about. Talk about the Authors of Pain as well. See where their status is. It's wow. I mean, just less than 2 months from their debut, they're just vanished just about. Raw and SmackDown, of course. Conversation piece here. 5 Money in the Bank participants who shouldn't have been in the particular match. So we're going to talk about that. So whatever interaction you would like to have tonight on the Facebook or on the YouTube live from Wrestling Inc. and also the Crave Wrestling Facebook page, Crave Wrestling Twitter at Crave Wrestling for both platforms. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we have the co-host with the most from Under the Mat Radio. He is the one. He is the only. He is Evan Tech Proud. How are you tonight, sir?
Doing all right, man. How you feeling?
Doing great, man. Still sore from the back. Still with it, but learning more and more how to be patient. Just how to be patient in life. I'm always working and always doing something. Just I'm not a busybody per se, but I'm just always productive. I'm always active. I'm either taking care of the family. I'm working as a mental health specialist, as a journalist, as a podcaster, as a small group leader for my church, as a consultant. So many things that I do throughout so many things I do throughout the week. But these times that I'm at home, for my surgery, and I've got about 3 more months to go. So throughout the summertime, I'm going to learn more and more about patience. And it's a really, really good lesson for me to learn, just to kind of put the pause button on things and know that they'll be there. If they're still important for you, they'll be there. So that's a good lesson that I'm continuing to learn, especially being a homebody for most of the week. But I'm having a good time, man. I'm getting a lot of work done still at home. Still working on my dissertation to become a doctor, and things are going very well.
Great. Like you, I'm always busy, and doing a lot of different things.
Yep, absolutely. Indeed.
Podcast,
yep.
All this insurance, doing a lot of computer technician. It's a lot of different things that we always keep on the go.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of stuff in the world of wrestling.
Yes, indeed. Speaking of the world of wrestling, here's the first trivia question, ladies and gentlemen, on deck. Who was Doug Furnace's partner in the WWE? Who was Doug Furnace's partner in the WWE? How about that? Talk about mid to late 90s. There's the trivia question right there. Who was Doug Furnace's trivia partner. Who was the Doug Furness's partner in the WWE? Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot to talk about. So let's get it on. Headlines. Here we go. Good job, Gruss. He's already ready. Philip LaFawn. Philip LaFawn. I see trash. I see a comment here. You didn't like Doug Furness and Philip LaFawn? I think they was we got someone who didn't like the team. I think they were very underutilized in WWE. I think they were fantastic. Again, it's funny. I think they fit right into like Alex Porto. Fantastic, just kind of catch style, really, rough type of, team, but they were just really kind of they really didn't have any type of feel to them. So I mean, it was just really, really, really odd to them. So, all right, good job. Next question on deck. Here we go. What were the years that WWE's ECW existed? What were the years that WWE's ECW existed? All right, first headline for today is so there's some rumors, there's some discussions going on right now that Daniel Bryan's has yet to resign a WWE contract. Now, again, it is I see 2006 to 2009, almost. I think that's I'll give it to you. 2006 to 2010. And NXT started in 2010. So yeah, good job. I see someone say you can say 2005. Yeah, I'll give the 2006 when the actual launch came. Not counting the one night stands. Although really, especially the first one night stand pay per view, I loved it. I think it was fantastic. I loved it. Yes. I didn't like the fact that Jericho lost again. Jericho's always putting somebody over. He's always losing, man. As much Jericho's one of my all-time favorites. Big fan of Chris Jericho, but he's always putting somebody over. It was Lance Storm, I think it was, that he lost to. What was that? ECW one night. I think it was Lance Storm, if I'm not mistaken. Someone in the chat room beats me to it. Let me know who it was, but I think Jericho put Lance Storm over. Jericho was he was a wrestler. He was a roster member of the WWE. Lance Storm was for a little while, but he wasn't even on the main roster. He wasn't even on the roster, I don't think, at that time, 2005. Yep. First match of 2005 one night stand. Lance Storm beat Chris Jericho. So, yeah. Wow.
Content for that event.
Yeah, he was the DLC for that event. Absolutely.
What about the ECW? What was that? The TNA one he did?
Oh.
ECW.
Oh my goodness.
Was it what was the name of that?
What was the name of
that thing? What's the name of that thing? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, well, it was a regular TNA pay-per-view, but they changed it. I think it was like okay, so it was Hard Justice. Just so odd because WWE owned the ECW names, and so yeah, it was
It wasn't dead. What it wasn't dead.
It was rough. It was rough.
The first one, the first Hardcore Justice wasn't bad. WWE's done some worse stuff. We've seen a lot of some TNA, Impact, Anthem, whatever you call them. But
Hardcore Justice was bad. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason to that. It was so funny because I think it was 2000. I don't remember when the first one was. I got married in 2010, and I think I was still single at the time. Maybe my wife and I were dating, but I had, I'm a big ECW fan, so I was this whole EV 2.0 thing they were doing, and uh, building into a hardcore match, and I was getting excited about this whole thing. And I invited people over, had a big. Someone said the only thing good about Hardcore Justice was the name. That's a good point. And I was getting really excited about it. I said, you know what, Hardcore Justice, let's bring back the ECW, let's revive it. And it was so embarrassing. Thank God the people I invited were actual wrestling fans and knew about ECW. But it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing to even, because I actually paid. I think that was one of the only times I ever paid for an actual TNA pay per view. I think that was probably the only time I ever paid for a TNA pay per view, and it left such a bad taste in my mouth. I don't think I ever did it again. Yeah, it was bad. Yeah.
But we got the money in ball pockets that is there. Now, was Hardcore Justice, is that the first time Nick you Tommy Dreamer, or was it Hard Justice?
Now, okay, so Hardcore Justice was 2010, it looks like. So it was 2 months before I got married. So, okay, so FBI defeated. Okay, so here are the results. It was August 8th, 2010. Yeah, that's a good point. If you're going to buy a TNA show back then, Lockdown would have been the show. I think I might have bought Lockdown. I might have bought the Joe. I think I might have bought the Joe Angle Lockdown, which was actually pretty good. Yeah, Lockdown was pretty good. And then, yeah, but that was before I got media stuff that, nowadays I watch them for free. But, okay, so this is 2010. So Hardcore Justice, that was okay. So they were doing the whole, I think the EV 2.0 thing. So Two Cold Scorpio defeated CW Anderson. That was a pretty good match. Stevie Richards defeated PJ Polanco. So of course, PJ Polanco's just incredible. And he went by, his actual name. His Peter Joseph, PJ Polanco. And then he had Mike Bucci, Nova, which was Hollywood Nova with him at the time. And he didn't have the Blue Meanie. He had Blue Tilly, which was one of the. He was like, I think it was like Phi Delta Slam or something like that for TNA in the early days. And then Rhino defeated Al Snow and Brother Runt, who was Spike Dudley. And then Team 3D with Gertner defeated Axel Rotten. Okay, so this was the one that I bought actually, because I thought this was terrible. A South Philadelphia street fight. Instead of course, Balls Mahoney couldn't use Balls Mahoney in TNA, so they called him Cajones. That was quite odd. Raven defeating Dreamer Foley, a special guest referee, and then RVD defeating Sabu, which actually wasn't a bad match. So that, I don't know if that was the whole EV 2.0 thing. Maybe it was 2011 with the EV 2, or it might have been 2010. I think that's how it all started. So Hardcore Justice. Then after that, it kept the Hardcore Justice name, but it just went to just regular. It became like a regular TNA pay per view. I mean, it was just, it wasn't even really like ECW versus TNA. The next year in 2011 was actually a pretty stacked card. Kurt Angle beat Sting to win the World Heavyweight Championship. So, yeah, very, very interesting stuff. But as far as the headline is concerned, let's get back to that. So Daniel Bryan, there's some discussions now. Nothing's been confirmed yet, but there's some talks that Yeah, this is when TNA was giving RVD a big push. Yep. There's some talks that Bryan hasn't even re-signed his contract yet. Now, PW Stream reported that they, per their sources, again, it's unconfirmed as far as just the if that's real or not, but PW Stream have broke a few things, but that's take it as a rumor as of now. But according to them, their sources say that Daniel Bryan has yet to sign to re-sign his contract. So it's very very interesting because I think that I made a tweet about this a little after SmackDown. We'll talk about that a little bit later. That they're kind of talking about hot shotting. They're kind of like hot shotting Daniel Bryan
I hate that.
just to
I
to
hate SmackDown.
just to
Come
be a
on.
just to be a part of everything nowadays. And so he's instead of making him just a instead of just really making his name important or really something to look forward to. He's just one of the guys now. And I talked about this last week on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. You know, it's there's nothing different nowadays with Daniel Bryan. There's nothing, and within 6 weeks of coming back, 6 7 weeks of coming back, Daniel Bryan has lost to cleanly. He lost cleanly to Rusev, and he got choked out by Samoa Joe. So there's a part of me like understanding WWE's mentality, based on a lot of people I've talked to who are current and former uh, uh, employees there or contractors there. It's there's a part of me that's saying we want to keep you, on this contract. We don't want to freeze it up. We don't want to just hold you up. We want you, we know that you're going to be a draw, you know, so we're going to have you compete. But there's nothing, unfortunately, there's nothing about Daniel Bryan nowadays that looks different than the rest. It was at first when they were kind of building the whole, coming back out of retirement and things like that. There was so much stock in his name. Unfortunately, now it's like he's just there's no different. And why in the world would you have him get choked out by Samoa Joe? And it's terrible. So a part of me thinks, and I may be wrong, but a part of me thinks that WWE is trying to really kind of bridle Daniel Bryan, and if there's discussions of him potentially leaving, I think his contract's up at the end of September. Come out, he'll miss All In, of course, unless WWE lets him get out of his contract earlier, which I doubt that's going to happen. But at the same time, it's like, man, a part of me thinks that if the WWE, if he hasn't decided to resign, WWE's kind of putting him in these positions where kind of losing, kind of the luster and kind of losing stock in his character. I've heard about that being discussed before, and it's just sad to me. It's really, really sad to me that they had a draw. They had Daniel Bryan, the person who hasn't wrestled for 3 years. They had him as potentially a top draw, as somebody that someone and people would watch all everywhere. Now they're having him lose cleanly on SmackDown and get choked out on SmackDown. So I don't know, man. It just seems kind of fishy to me as far as the WWE is concerned with Daniel Bryan and his contract.
Yeah,
Really seems fishy to me.
yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where I don't like how they every week these wrestling these pay-per-view matches, and I'm like, one, where's the authority at on SmackDown? Where's Shane? Okay, Daniel Bryan's back to being a wrestler, so he's not a GM anymore. They're using him every week in these high quality matches. It makes you think, you know, what do you have left?
Yeah.
Well, in that way, if you don't resign, we can just let you know. That way, if you do, then it's WWE is just trying to play the safe route. But like you said, after thinking when you think of Bryan, more of a attraction, like having Russell once a month, like we can do one SmackDown and each pay per view. And we've seen him every week. And it's like since he's come back, he's made him in at every single SmackDown. I don't remember the last time AJ Styles has made him in SmackDown since Daniel Bryan's come back from India.
Yeah, there's no.
You really think about that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. There's no difference.
right,
There.
right. Like you said, I love Daniel Bryan. Like I love AJ Styles, but at the same time, it's like every week it's Daniel Bryan, Daniel Bryan, Daniel Bryan, Daniel Bryan. After a while, he gets old and he loses that appeal. So
Yeah.
why is it so special to see for Daniel Bryan because he wasn't wrestling for 3 years. It's not like he's full time.
Yeah.
You're seeing Rusty's been in every single SmackDown in some form since Mania, and yet he wrestles in the pay-per-view. It's not really that special. AJ Styles and Nakamura different because they're already been full time, so we expect to see them every week. But Daniel Bryan, I think WWE is just playing the safe route.
Yeah, which is sad. Which is sad because they're basically just kind of drawing his name down to the ground, seemingly, because he could leave, and it's kind of shady if it is the case. And again, it's nothing's confirmed at this time, but if that is the case, that is really sad that WWE would kind of drive him to the ground because there's again. There's some reports, that Daniel Bryan is, he admits that he gets too silent at times. Um, Guys like Daniel Bryan and Nakamura should be special attractions, not wrestling every week. Totally agree with that, 100%. Especially Daniel Bryan. It's like, there were some reports talking about how, he's admitted that he doesn't speak up enough, in meetings to get pushes and to get, ways, things that he suggests and things like that. But, nowadays, it's the time to do that now, because, he's got the leg up because if his contract's up in 4 months, and I mean, that's October time. That's only 3 months before Wrestle Kingdom. I mean, talk about a potential build to anybody. I mean, come on. I mean, you've got Kenny Omega, you've got Jay White, you've got Will Ospreay, you've got Cody. You've got Ishii, you've got Tetsuya Naito. You've got my goodness, Daniel Bryan versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. Are you kidding me, dog? Man.
So many people in Japan and RH Daniel Bryan could go to. I'm sorry, Bryan Danielson could go to and make a killing in New Japan and RH, Ring of Honor, Homecoming, and Jay Lethal. I mean, it's so. The thing with Daniel Bryan, I feel is win-win. Because if he stays in WWE, of course, he lives a very modest life. He's priced up for life. And then he stays in WWE. Earlier today or over the holiday, one of the East Festival, somebody wrote about the impact of the yes chants outside of wrestling, where the yes chants, which is like rule, one of the few chants I've said before, and this show online, and where it's transcended wrestling.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Where everyone does it.
Yeah.
So he's transcended for wrestling, and if you go to WWE, it is possible for him listening. You can make more money if you're on a certain level outside of WWE than if you are in it.
Yeah.
So if Daniel Bryan does happen to go to New Japan, then he'll be set for a good year.
Oh, certainly. Certainly.
All of these names. And then even if he decides to stay in the States, he can do a total RH. He can go to New Japan. There's so much stuff he can do where he's probably going to be the biggest free agent if he does decide to leave.
Oh my goodness! Are you kidding me? Yeah, I mean, if Daniel Bryan leaves WWE, oh my goodness, he'll be an amazing. I mean, he will be the hottest free agent. I mean, even hotter than Cody when he was a free agent. I'm doing well, GHP. Thank you for asking, by the way. Yeah, I mean, he will be. He'll be great. So we'll see where this goes. Hopefully, if it's according to WWE, I mean, hopefully they figure something out with Daniel Bryan. Of course, they can't force him to say resign, but the way that they're booking him, man, it seems like we'll get Daniel Bryan versus Big Cass again at Money in the Bank. Which, I mean, why Daniel Bryan beat him at Backlash? What is? I mean, there's no stipulation. I'd imagine there's no stipulation with this thing. Daniel Bryan already made him tap out of Backlash. What else is there to do? So I mean, and I hope, and I certainly hope that Big Cass does not defeat Daniel Bryan. Now, if Big Cass beats Daniel Bryan, it really it really seems like WWE's trying to pigeonhole and try to kind of strong arm Daniel Bryan. Um, Next question. Who did Edge defeat to win his first World Heavyweight Championship? Who did Edge defeat to win his first World Heavyweight Championship? Now, be sure to see somebody already said it, and I was just about to explain it. I'm saying World Heavyweight Championship for a reason, not the WWE Championship, but the World Heavyweight Championships. People are saying John Cena. That would be correct if it was for the WWE Championship. Nope. I got a comment saying I feel bad for Daniel right now, although I think they're milking it until SummerSlam to do Daniel versus Miz. Of course, I definitely see that. I definitely see Daniel Bryan versus Miz. However, it's like, why are you? Good job. Got Gregory going on. That is the correct answer. The Undertaker, 2007. He won the Money in the Bank and cashed it in against the Undertaker. This is when the Smackdowns were taped and they had it on the ticker. I think it was like ECW during the ECW event or something like that. They had it on the ticker that Edge defeated the Undertaker to win the World Heavyweight Championship. Very interesting stuff there.
It's really real quick. Shout out to Furnace on the phone. If anybody did YouTube that match, it was a great match they had in Japan. When they wrestled for All Japan and New Japan in England. They just couldn't get. They just really couldn't get over WWE much.
Yeah. There's a lot of people. I mean, when I really think about that, I think about just there's so many people who were really good, who did really good in Japan, in Mexico, but couldn't. I mean, I think one of the most recent examples of this is Sin Cara. I mean, he was huge in Mexico, and Triple H, he wanted to make him his pet project because he did so well in Mexico. Came up as Sin Cara. He was Mystico at first in Mexico, and Triple H wanted to bring him up and make him a big star. We saw that, just with his first. It's funny if you look at Sin Cara's win history. He beat some huge names in the beginning of his career. Clean. I remember he had a clean win against Daniel Bryan. And it was I think he did the Spanish Fly at first, and then I think he botched a Hurricane Rana against, I think maybe Chavo Guerrero, if I'm not mistaken, and that became like his finisher. And so yeah, it's his first couple months, 2-3 months, it was huge, and then Mystico, he kind of phoned it in for the rest of his time, and they changed him. They changed his character. So only popularity Sin Cara now is when I go back and watch the WWE WrestleMania Scooby Doo movie. That's a good one. That's a good one. I got a comment says that language barrier hurts Sin Cara big, and that's a good point as well. Yeah, that is very correct. I think Hunico's under the mask now, if I'm not mistaken. So,
I will say that from now people within side of WWE sources some ex talent that was wrestling around the time of Sin Cara, the original dates also said that WWE tried to rush him so quick to the main roster because they were saying I didn't think about this. I'm not gonna mention who it is, but when you wrestle in Mexico, you wrestle a certain style. It take you time to get adjusted to the American style. And from what some of the former WWE stars, the one against the one at the time, WWE said WWE was so focused on trying to get the next Rey Mysterio or get the next person to try to
right.
get the Latino demographic,
Yeah.
and he rushed them to the main roster. They really didn't give him time to really adjust, and he was struggling trying to adjust to echo not only the American style, but the WWE style, as opposed to fans what he was used to. But shout out to the time when Del Rio got upset when remember he broke his finger.
Yeah.
He stopped the match and Del Rio kicked him.
That was really bad. See, that was a really bad spot for Sin Cara because people called him a wuss ever since. I mean, not Hunico. I've heard, Hunico's known to be a pretty tough guy, actually. But Mystico, not so much. Next trivia question. What year did the Headbangers win the World Tag Team Championship? What year did the Headbangers win the World Tag Team Championship? Speaking of tag teams, the Authors of Pain. Whoa, Gruss, already. Man, I love that. I love when people know their wrestling trivia. 1997, their first and only World Tag Team Championship reign by the Headbangers, ladies and gentlemen. That surprised me. I remember watching it back in the day in 1997. That surprised me. Never saw the Headbangers as a World Tag Team title caliber team, but it makes sense because they were a memorable gimmick, and they say that they had one reign as World Tag Team Championships, World Tag Team Champions. Makes sense. Will they ever go to the Hall of Fame? No. But they can always say that, it always increases stock in the indies. I'm a former WWE World Tag Team Champion. So it always helps. Speed of tag teams, this tag team seemed like they were a shoe-in to automatically ascend and be one of the hottest teams on Raw. But at the same time, yeah, just like the Bushwhackers, they were just gimmick, but hey, they made the Hall of Fame. Yeah, and I've had Bushwhacker Luke on my show, and I think for the Bushwhackers, it was the body of work, for the Bushwhackers in total. I don't think it was simply a WWE thing because they were just gimmick. I mean, they were just like really. Like the what's my boys' names? The Young Stallions of the WWE. Just not necessarily. I mean, they weren't an over team. They were in popularity. They were the most one of the most over teams in the '80s as far as popularity is concerned. But as far as just winning championships, they never won a championship. So, but at the same time, they said they basically before they came to the WWE, they were already an established tag team for 20 years. So their body of work, was that they were just fun, and we need teams like that sometimes. I agree with that. Especially in the 80s and the early 90s. It was really an industry based on gimmicks, based on characters. And I always say this still to this day, I think wrestling should be about characters first, wrestling second. And that's what it should be, because it's like, hey, listen, I was driving, I think a day or two ago. Um, got a comment here, says the Steiner brothers need to be in a Hall of Fame. I totally agree. Um, However, your boy Scott Steiner hates Triple H, and he always talk about the WWE Hall of Fame. He craps all over the Hall of Fame. Um, I got a comment. Is it only me doing this pod? Yes, this is my podcast every Tuesday. I got my co-host Evan Prout via voice. You can hear him. He does it with me. Um, and thank you for asking. Yes, this is the Pancakes and Powerslams show. This was homegrown. Thank you for the hashtag. And this is the 322nd episode, and I've been doing this podcast for 6 straight years. It's funny because I was talking to Shane Helms before I interviewed him, and I think actually he said this during the interview as well. Just Google Pancakes and Power Slam Shane Helms. He was talking about how he does he used to do a podcast, and just how tough it was. He didn't realize how tough it was doing a podcast in preparation until he started one. And, he was one of my favorite interviews because I think him more than anyone, as far as a wrestler is concerned, he understood, he got it, as far as just understanding how much it takes to prepare for a podcast. And, he was overwhelmed by, I think it was 5 years at the time. I interviewed him last year. But now it's been 6 years and almost 2 months that the Pancakes and Power Slam show has been on air, and 322 straight weeks. We have not missed a single week on this show. So thank you for asking. But yeah, the authors of pain, the authors of pain, just seems like they were just a shoe-in. I mean, like, it just, I just don't understand how you would not utilize a team like the Authors of Pain. It makes absolutely no sense to me. And as green as they were in NXT, they grew and they matured so quickly. And of course, when I first saw them, I think they attacked the American Alpha. And then afterwards, Pauling walked out, and I was like, "What the heck is this?" Because I'm so used to. I mean, my favorite team of all time is the Legion of Doom. So I'm so used to back in the Attitude Era, but that was bad news. But I'm so used to Paul Erling being with the Road Warriors, the Legion of Doom. And seeing him with the Authors of Pain, I had my reservations like strongly in the beginning, but as time progressed, I was a fan of it. I think Paul Ellering was exactly what they needed, because it brought back the old school concept of, I'm not going to talk because I'm the heel. I want to let my actions speak for themselves, and I'm going to have a mouthpiece doing that. So that's what I love about that whole old school feel of tag teams, which I think it should happen. It still should be the case that you have the old school feel, you have the heels doing the work in the ring, and the mouthpieces, the Bobby Heenans of this world, the Jimmy Harts of this world, the Slicks of this world, speaking for that. They need to team the ALP with Roman Reigns and beat up the whole roster, a dominant heel faction. That would be pretty cool. They have all Shield type of stuff. Good comment. I think them destroying the barbecue on Raw would have been a quick way to get them more TV time, especially with all these jobbers there in the ring. They were missing too many weeks. That's it. That's exact. I mean, that's it. That's it right there. That would have been a perfect time to really kind of transition the Authors of Pain back onto the roster. I mean, they're competing on main events right after their debut because WWE has nothing for them, and it demolishes a character if you bring them up to say, oh man, I don't know where to put you. Keep them in NXT. I mean, here's the thing, and they did this with Apollo Crews as well for a while. You cannot bring someone up, and they did this with Tyler Breeze for a while too before he started teaming up with Fandango. I would like the B team to use the old NWO B team music. I think we had the same conversation a few weeks ago about the NWO B team music. I think someone just wants to hear it again. I think someone wants to hear this music that I'm playing right now again. The NWO B team music, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. For life. Doom 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 doom. We are in control. All right, let's ask another trivia question before the next headline. Which pay per view did Goldberg beat Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship in 2003? Which pay per view did Goldberg beat Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship in 2003? Yeah, I mean, I think, and I'm buddies with Drew McIntyre, and I think what really is hurting the Authors of Pain right now is the success of Dolph Ziggler and Drew Galloway as a tag team. They're dominating as heels right now, and it seems like they don't want the Authors of Pain and Ziggler and McIntyre to be on the same brand, to be that kind of dominant heel tag team right now. I think eventually they're going to set up McIntyre and Ziggler for Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt. People are criticizing Hardy and Wyatt as a tag team. I don't know, maybe it's just me. I love Hardy and Wyatt as a tag team. I love them because it's way overdue that Bray Wyatt he needed a face turn. I mean, and they're solid as a tag team. They're polished. It's something different. It helps Matt Hardy with his Woken character, because even the WWE version of Woken was just crap to me. But inserting Bray Wyatt as someone who's kind of seen the light, I think it's really good writing, and I really like Bray Wyatt, and yeah, I agree. Matt Hardy saved Bray Wyatt, absolutely. Absolutely, 100% agree with that. And I think that if they do split up, they don't have to neither. Like, here's the thing: if they do split up, they don't have to. One of them don't have to turn heel. I'll be fine to see. I'll be intrigued to see a singles push or singles run as a babyface from Bray. I think it'll be pretty cool. I think he gets over. People like him. But right now, I think he's in a really good position to establish himself as a babyface. So I don't dislike it whatsoever. But it seems like they're kind of grooming them for Ziggler and McIntyre, which I definitely would be fine with Ziggler and McIntyre winning the tag team championships as well. Um, but it seems like WWE doesn't want the Authors of Pain to be in that prominent heel spot, which is terrible because
this is not 1992. You can be strong and tag teams.
Right.
Like the Warlord and Barbarian.
Right.
It's still old.
Yeah, I agree. Got a question here. Got a question.
Career.
Yeah, he did. He did. And I like it. Like I said, I like the tag team, but I don't see McIntyre and Ziggler together for a long time. Although I do see Authors of Pain together. I don't think they should have lost. I don't think Paul Ellering should have been cut from the team. There were some talks of him not enjoying the travel. But he tweeted that that's not the case, but I don't know if that's true. But just them without a manager hurts too. And so it's sad because they're a really good team. I hope this is what I really hope. I hope the WWE doesn't get to the point where they're become like Ascension 2.0. That would be absolutely terrible. Got a question here. Do you think Paul Ellering would manage another tag team? No, I do not. I don't. I think he has his own restaurant in. Oh, I've called it before. I think it was in Florida. I don't remember where it was.
I think I saw it too.
I
Yeah, I
know.
saw it too. So I saw Mark
I know he has a
has a
restaurant.
restaurant as well.
I don't remember where it is though. Maybe Georgia, either Georgia or Florida, one of those southern states. I don't remember exactly what it was, where it was. I'll find that out though. What do you think about a heel faction led by Bobby Roode? It's in Minnesota. Okay, Rock Tavern in Erie. It's in Minnesota. Um, got another question here. What do you think about a heel faction led by Bobby Roode with a heel Chad Gable and the Revival, Ric Flair as the manager? I don't think WWE's
What was that?
so
Go
a
ahead, manager.
heel faction led by Bobby Roode with Chad Gable and the Revival with Flair as the manager.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good idea. Well, just go back to TNA when it was Fortune.
Fortune, yeah, that's that's immediately what I thought about.
Well,
Um,
is it me or is it me? Bobby Roode. I have like little, stuff on it and fans listening to your show on mine. I really look at the smallest details. First of all, I never liked it when wrestlers they wear their shirts, they wear over top their trunks that look like they're walking around naked. Bobby Roode, when you come out and wear his robe, it's like he just got out the bathroom. It just doesn't look appealing. When he's been running, like why are you doing a running with your robe? I never got that.
yeah, I mean,
Why are you in the wrestling tights?
yeah,
I mean,
uh,
like
you
realistically,
blame Flair
why
for
are you
that.
wearing wrestling tights if you don't have the match?
Yeah, blame
It's
Flair for
crazy.
that.
But, yeah, on Texas and says, yeah, Blaine Stan on.
Yeah. Okay, so this heel faction, I'm interested to think about this a little bit more. Um, so I think at the pace he's going, I don't think Vince sees Rude as the top guy. I agree with that too. Unfortunately, I think Rude's good. Um, okay, so heel faction, Bobby Roode as a heel. So he's leading the with Chad Gable the Revival. See, here's the problem I have with that. So I don't think Flair would be the manager because WWE. I mean, he's having some health scares, and just having him on the road every week wouldn't be a good idea. Um, Now Bobby Roode as a heel faction leader is fine. I think that'll be fine. Now, Chad Gable, the only thing um I don't see a dominating heel persona with Chad Gable. He's great in the ring, fantastic. But I don't see Gable. I mean, he just his size, and it's unfortunate, but I think
Yeah,
his size.
it's
And
all
this is what I would do with Gable. Actually, I would I would
about the
take
mighty mode.
I would take Chad Gable. I would make him a part of 205 Live. I think he'd be a part of. I think he'll have some great matches for 205 Live. Um, I would like to see, like him and Buddy Murphy, him and Hideo Tommy. I think that would be some really good matches there. But I don't see him as like some dominating heel persona, like because even like the Tully Blanchard. See, when I think this is what I think about when I think of Horseman. I think of a 6 foot to 6'2" type of really charismatic leader, and then I see the other two being, you know, 5'11" to 6'2" type of, not necessarily a chiseled built, but just like just kind of like a solid built, not necessarily like total buff or anything like that. So two of those like that, and then the third one I mean the fourth one I see is like an enforcer robe, a little taller, a little bigger. So for instance, you got Flair, Tully, Arn, and Barry Windham. So someone saying Chad could be the Tully of the faction. See, no, I don't see that. I don't see that. Tully's just uh, Chad is just too small for me, unfortunately, just to be a part of that. So no, I didn't forget Paul Roma. I intentionally, I intentionally didn't say Paul Roma because uh,
Anybody, I said this before. I don't know if I said this before on the show. I told you off air. If there's any Dolphins listening, that how Paul Roma was as a horseman, I've become good friends with JJ Dillon. He's been on my show multiple times. We've talked off air at conventions for 3 to 4 hours at a time. No joke with Jerry Lawler. I mentioned Paul Roma to JJ Dillon. Quote unquote, he looked at me, he chuckled, and did a sigh.
of
He said,
course,
"Oh man."
yeah.
And JJ is the nicest, one of the nicest, intelligent guys in the business. But anytime JJ Dillon is speechless, you already know you're speechless.
Yeah, he's probably one of the worst of all time.
I prefer Mongo.
I don't know, man. Both of them were just really bad. Okay, so John
Mongo's
Cena,
underrated though.
he wants to compete against the Velveteen Dream. Um, Very interesting. I think this is very interesting. Finally, do see. Here's my question when I thought about this. Now, Dream is one of my favorites in all of WWE right now. I think he's absolutely fantastic. Feuding with Ricochet right now in NXT, I think that's a really good feud. And here's my issue when I think about John Cena feuding with anybody who's a rising star, I get very cautious because Rusev is just now after over the past 6 months or so, he's just now getting back from keep Cena far away from NXT. Um, he's just now getting back from Cena beating him at WrestleMania. Bray Wyatt, until this Hardy feud, never recovered from Cena beating him at WrestleMania. Alex Riley, when Cena beat him, never recovered. Wade Barrett never recovered when Cena beat him. So,
Umaga.
Way Umaga never recovered, unfortunately. There's is that the man I just get really leery when John Cena wants to go against a rookie, man, because his pattern
He
is
said,
he don't mind putting over the vets. He'll put over Lesnar like crazy. He'll put over AJ, but it's like those rookies, those up and comers. It's always been an issue with Mr. Cena.
all right,
Um,
so
so
once you get all your moves in, and then I'm gonna hit you with the AA, and
yeah,
then we'll leave.
I'll hit you with
Give
one
me like you said,
AA.
give me purgatory for
Yeah,
5 years.
I'll hit you with one AA, and that's done,
The
and you're
John
done.
Cena rule.
Yeah. So
Yeah, the John Cena rule.
I don't know, man. I if it takes
Now the
well
cool
to
kids,
to be fair, I will say this: he did put Kevin Owens over, so I will give him that. Um, but he won at the
I
end
don't
though.
count that.
He won at
I don't count
he
that.
won at the end though. So I
I
mean,
don't
well,
count that because he put him over because Kevin Owens is great. He's great. But Kevin Owens had a sprinkle of Triple H and Vince liking him. So even John Cena can't veto that.
right.
Like you said, at the end of the day, but he put AJ Styles over.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, AJ Styles a veteran. He's not an up and comer. He's this is reaching the latter
Definitely.
parts of his career.
And
So
Patrick's from here.
yeah, he
Patrick's from here locally. He's a good guy. I've known him and Leo Rush for good number of years, but he went up to E. Oh man, I hope little Patrick doesn't
I
get stuck in the Cena purgatory.
I don't. I hope. Someone's mentioning Baron Corbin too. I think that's another one. He
Oh yeah.
opened SummerSlam last year against Baron Corbin, and Corbin, he cost Corbin his Money in the Bank. He distracted him for Jinder Mahal to roll him up, and then he went against Corbin at SummerSlam and beat.
You seen it solely on Corbin, or do you? Well, I
Corbin.
consider it a total punishment. Corbin in WWE didn't like. He was in the doghouse, and he had him go against Cena as a punishment. I don't know if I would really count that as Cena purgatory, more like WWE used Cena as like the executioner.
Mm.
You get what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, but going along with this comment here, it says no young talent has ever won a feud against John Cena, which is true. No one's. I mean, he can, he doesn't have a problem, being squashed by Undertaker because he's the Undertaker. Even if John Cena had a problem with being squashed by the Undertaker, so what? I mean, the Undertaker has more clout than John Cena does. So we'll see.
Could you imagine Cena being around during the Attitude Era, or being around during the NWA late '80s, the Road Warriors, Sting, Dusty, all of those strong personalities? What do you think Cena would have? I think Cena would have been a great card.
Yeah.
With the Attitude Era and the NWA, is so many strong personalities. Cena, and the time then was it, but you gotta get Cena is tough. And people crap on Triple H all the time. And I met Triple H and talked to him, as I said before, a few months ago. Triple H has put more people over than Cena.
Yeah, he has. But he's
Triple H has lost at media consecutively. The Rollins, the Reigns, Daniel Bryan, Brock. I mean, Triple H gets people over.
Yeah, well, Cena put Daniel Bryan over too. So I mean, that's one of the only people that's he put him over.
That's family though. That's family. I don't count that. That's family ties.
I don't even know if there were or I don't think that had anything to do with family. But all right. So we'll see. Well, I mean, like I said, if Cena Dream happens, I really hope that Dream actually. Cena's at the point of his career. There's nothing left to prove. He's 40 years old. There's nothing else. I mean, the thing is 41 now. But it's one of those things that there's nothing left for Cena to do. He needs to put people over. All right, so the cool heel thing before we get to Raw and SmackDown. So Daniel Bryan feels that Brock Lesnar doesn't care about a dream match with him, which makes sense because Brock Lesnar didn't care about Dean Ambrose's ideas during their WrestleMania match, unfortunately. And it's it's one of those things. The reason why Lesnar's getting critiqued now, man, he just phones it in. He just, he admitted in Jericho's podcast, I think it was like about 2 or 3 years ago, that it's a business to him. He clocks in and clocks out. So, it's unfortunate, man. And he hasn't been. The last time he was on WWE television was the Greatest Royal Rumble, and that was over a month ago. Just no 30-day rule for Brock Lesnar. Here's the thing. I've said this before, and I'll stick to it. I am totally fine with WWE and with pro wrestling champions, with champions, not being there every week. I'm totally fine with that. That's how it used to be with Hogan, and that's what made Hogan, one, be a long champion, and two, have so much success as a babyface because he wasn't oversaturated. It's funny because I think that Lesnar and Styles are two totally opposite ends of the spectrum. Lesnar just doesn't come after 3 months. That's how it was last year. He won the title at WrestleMania and didn't compete until Great Balls of Fire in July. And that's 3 months of just not seeing Lesnar. Now it's been a month. Not going to be at Money in the Bank. He'll probably go against, he'll probably compete at Extreme Rules. So it'll be almost another 3 months before we see him. So, I think that, if we're not going to see you, at least play into a storyline or have something like that. But just not seeing you putting all the weight on people like Seth Rollins and AJ Styles. Now it makes AJ Styles, it decreases his stock because we're seeing AJ Styles every single week and he's getting beat up and he's not getting protected like a champion should. There's again with Daniel Bryan, there's nothing distinct about AJ Styles that makes him look like a champion. So it's really hurting his stock for sure. All right. Did I watch Impact? Someone told me. I watched highlights of it. Gabriel asked me that. Go ahead, Evan. Oh, I like it. I like Impact. It's trying. It's trying. I mean, you've got people like John Morrison and Congo Kong, and it's they're trying to use a lot of homegrown talent nowadays because that's good and that's bad because it's like people like KM. It's you'll I don't ever see KM being anybody anywhere else. Honestly, I don't see him. He's just one of the most blandest characters ever. All right, so let's move on. Don Callis was talking about the cool heel factor, which he nailed it. He was talking about how there's too many cool heels. That's just a thing nowadays, and there's because there's the cool heels get the cheers and they make the baby faces look, like jokes, and it's one of those things, man. That it makes it really tough for the baby face. We've talked about this before, but if you get a chance, type that. Someone's talking about Jericho and Impact. That's been a kind of a story. He just retweeted something that Callis was talking about. Him and Callis, of course, people know him and Callis are good buddies. Callis was instrumental in him going to Japan and feuding with Kenny Omega. So, Jericho said plenty of times that he's a WWE lifer, and he kind of run things through Vince McMahon, just because of loyalty to him. So I don't see Jericho and Impact. I mean, there's just not, Jericho's nowadays, he's with Fozzy, and he said plenty of times that he said, listen, at this point of my career, I don't, unless it's something riveting, unless it's a good story, I don't want any part of it. So, someone else is saying John Morrison to potentially go to New Japan. I think that's a great move. I'm looking forward to it. I've talked to John plenty of times. I've had him on my show before. I'm rooting for him, man. The only thing is he'll be 39 this year, so he doesn't have too many. I mean, he looks like he's 25. So I mean, he just all this parkour. So I mean, based on his physical condition, we'll see. But I can see some good stuff with John Morrison. Another question: do you think, with the success of Cody now, would Vince ever offer him a deal in the future? Oh yeah, absolutely. I can definitely see that. I can see Cody back in the WWE. I don't know when, but I'll say within the next few years. Morrison is on a new season of Survivor. That is true, and I am a huge Survivor fan. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. All right, so let's get into Raw and SmackDown review. Right before that, let's ask another question: who assisted Santino Marella in winning the Intercontinental Championship from Umaga in 2007? Who assisted Santino Marella in winning the Intercontinental Championship from Umaga in 2007? Great job. I'm telling y'all, everybody who's in the chat right now, you're getting owned by Gruss. Dustin's doing pretty well too. Jamie, Samsung, great job. Bobby Lashley, Great job. Evan, Raw and SmackDown thoughts. And chat room, give me your Raw and SmackDown thoughts as well. What do you got?
Oh, cool. I'm looking forward to that great old music.
You know, as a matter of fact, I'll put the music over. We'll be right back. All right, there you go.
Thanks. SmackDown was no, the beginning segment was it was weird with Joe. I mean, SmackDown first Joe, Bryan, and Cass. I thought the main event was decent. Like I said, Joe choking on Daniel Bryan probably off guard. Or I thought SmackDown was okay. Raw just seems so like split personality. Now Jack's doing a heel turn in a way.
Oh goodness.
KO running from Kevin, running from Strowman. Strowman against Finn Balor looks so weird because of the size differences. Did the leader of worlds or level? It seems like the interest is so long. But I was loving where did the ascension come from? Thank God that he still was on the air. Did you see the women's match? Main event Sasha believe against Ruby Riott. My thing is, and I can be wrong for this. I mean, every time a woman wins a match, they have to start throwing a fake tears and crying. You're only qualifying to get in the money in the bank. It's not like you're winning. It's not like you won the money in the bank. You won a title. Maybe it's me, but it's always like, come on, Sasha. You're asshole crying because you got qualified for money in the bank. You didn't even win it. You just qualified for it. It's good to see her back on top because she kind of lost. And your boy Jinder Mahal. Shout out to Elias. I love the chair shot. Elias is one of my favorites right now with Carmella. Jinder Mahal is constipated all the time. He had a good match against Seth, but it's like, to me, it just seems like he's trying so hard. I just hope he doesn't pop his vein at all. But, and that what is up with these holiday themed shows? They always gotta have food involved. This was a waste of time. We could have did another match. What is actually going on? Anyone that's in those type of segments, let you know they have nothing better for you to do. You don't believe in a segment, they give you airtime, you'll get paid, but you're not in any important programming.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, Elias is money, for sure. He's money, and I tweeted this. I think he's just a fantastic heel because it's one of those things that it's such a lost art nowadays that a heel actually wants to draw heat because, like, the whole cool heel thing is just you're not a heel if you're getting cheered and you're not turning those over to boos. Elias is such an amazing, amazing heel, and it's Elias is so good of a heel that he makes the marks that cheer for him boo him within seconds. And it's just cheap heat 101. You talk about you talk about the city, you talk about the people in the crowd, just really elementary style heat, seeking. And he's on it. He knows how to do it. He does a fantastic job. I'm really looking forward to this Intercontinental Championship match with Seth Rollins. Rollins is no doubt one of the best people, one of the hottest people on the roster right now. Absolutely. And it's and this Intercontinental Championship match is great. And here's the thing. They played me on SmackDown Live last week. I thought Lana was going face, and then tonight the pull is done. and it makes it's just makes the person, it kills so much stock of this person. Lana, she's get this, Lana is the best Lana number one. All these fans are getting excited about her. And then she befriends Naomi, and then I knew she was going to pull some type of heel thing. And so now she's the heel again, and it's just, it's, all this back and forth, it helps no one at all. um Someone saying Lana won the dance battle to me. I don't, I think
I agree.
I like Naomi better than Lana. I think the reason why people think Lana won, and the crowd popped for Naomi more, but I pop for Lana too, because I know that she used to be a dancer. But this whole Russian thing is, it kind of took me away from that. And then for her to, I mean, she bust some moves for sure. So that was, yeah, I was pleasantly surprised at that. Yeah, and the whole Nia Jax thing. I mean, just, social media went ablaze over that, because makes no sense. I mean, you spend weeks before WrestleMania about anti-bullying, and then, less than 2 months after Mania, you are a bully again. I mean, you're bullying Ronda Rousey, and telling the crowd, and I think they were in Richmond, telling the crowd to shut up, and it's like, heel, just heel stuff. WWE logic. Yeah, it's terrible. It's just a terrible way to build a star. And if you really want to build Nia Jax, it makes no sense. I mean, people are confused now. I wrote an article about it. People are like, oh, okay, so is this a heel turn now? Is this, what is this? I don't know what it is. And it first started out with the whole NBC Universal thing, saying, hey, I prefer you more than anybody else because you're the one who's talented, and so on and so forth. Now it's like, you can't put me in the armbar, and this is what's going to happen. It just, and Nia Jax needs, I mean, they need to protect Nia Jax as much as they can, because Nia Jax is still very, very green in the ring. There's, I mean, there's a lot of improvement left for Nia Jax, and it doesn't make sense at all. And yeah, and going back now, she's healed now. That shut up did it. Yeah, and it's, you know, I think it would have helped Nia Jax if this whole thing, and make sense for her as champion too, because the whole champion thing is a little bit premature, honestly, because she's just not ready in the ring. And good stat there. Nia's tapped twice to arm bars, one to Asuka and one to Becky Lynch. Very, yeah. I think it was what, Survivor Series she tapped to Becky Lynch. So yeah, it's kind of rehashed stuff. People's put her in arm bars before, so that's the angle with it, which doesn't make sense. I really wish that Nia would have played the babyface Stephanie versus Rousey at Survivor at SummerSlam. Now you have Nia Jax is kind of like an enforcer role for Stephanie, and you can even do kind of a Austin that. I mean, just again, just all this speed microwave booking. You know, listen. I like my steak. Listen, I'm gonna get my inner Booker T dog. I like my steak in the oven, baby. You got to saute it. You got to season it. You got to put it in the oven. Like right now, they're putting the steak in the microwave and expecting to deliver it to people and say, hey, this is the real deal. This is authentic. I can taste a bad steak from everything. I mean, comparatively, I've had some good steak in my life. Trust me, I've had some good steak in my life. And I've tasted some bad steak, and that's a big difference. And right now, the WWE is microwaving some steak and try to fast track it. And they're like, hey, this is going to be a as good as sauteing it and putting in the oven. It's gonna no, it's not WWE. It's not. Not only is it not good, it's bad. And that's where we're getting with Nia Jax right now. B team stuff, like the comment on here on the chat. I think that would have been a perfect time to integrate Authors of Pain in the mix. Um, so we'll see. They messed up. They missed an opportunity to integrate Authors of Pain. That could be solely separate from uh, they can be totally separate from the tag team division. They can feud against Titus Worldwide. You still got Slater and Rhino. They can do something to make themselves important. Bobby Lashley is getting pops. Big kudos to him. Saluting the veterans. I was a big fan of that. He got huge pops for that. People don't like what they're doing with Lashley, but I didn't like the sister thing, but he's getting pops. So I don't, I'm not that type of guy to say turn him heel. You don't always have to turn someone heel. Just book them better as a baby face. It's not. It is not, to me. It's not always automatic like that. Just say, hey, just turn them heel. No, that doesn't have to be the case. Within SmackDown, I mean, we talked about Daniel Bryan, what I think was going on with him. The dance off. Big fan of New Day, man. I've always liked New Day, and that was a fantastic match. That was probably one of the best televised matches in 2018. So I was a big fan of that 6-man match, and I hope it's Big E that's chosen, and I hope he wins the briefcase. I would be a big fan of that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got 5 minutes to go. Let's get into the flavor of the week. We shall be right back.
It is now time for the flavor of the week.
All right, Evan, real quick. All right. So this is five people who were in the Money in the Bank match that shouldn't have been. So before we get to you, Evan, I got another trivia question as y'all think about it. Steve Armstrong was known as what name in WWE? Steve Armstrong was known as what name in the WWE? All right, for the chat room, once again, the flavor of the week this week is five people who should not have been in their respective Money in the Bank matches that year. So if you could remove one person from a particular Money in the Bank match 5 times, who would it be? So go for it, Evan. Who you got?
That's 25, Mark Henry and Ric Flair. Even though the Flair spot was funny, let's get the point of having them two in it. Lashley from WrestleMania 22. This was out of place for me. Neville, Money in the Bank 2016. Neville was like the Superman thing there. The suit was too small. Mm-hmm. And Jack Swagger, WrestleMania 24.
Swagger? See, I was okay with Swagger being in. I was thinking of it, and there was more than 5 that I thought about. So Fandango 2013, the one that was won by Damian Sandow. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, they had Fandango as someone who had an opportunity to win the World Heavyweight Championship. Heath Slater, the one that was won by Daniel Bryan, the Money in the Bank, 2011, I believe. Justin Gabriel, the Money in the Bank in 2010. Again, fantastic talent. I've had him on my show before. Big fan of Justin Gabriel, but they weren't pushing him enough to make him look like a world champ. So 2010 Sin Cara, the one that was won by The Miz. Again, it was just Sin Cara was just a bad call. Yeah. Evan Bourne was in 3 Money in the Bank matches, ladies and gentlemen. None of them did he have one iota of a shot of winning, but they wanted someone with the high spot to be in the match, like Kofi, Shelton Benjamin, and Evan Bourne are the people who are like, we're just going to put you in here just to have, a spot, just to be the spot monkeys, so to speak. Um, and here's one. Here's one. I know I said five, but here's a lot. Um, I picked the entire money, the entire 2012 Money in the Bank roster for the World Heavyweight Championship altogether. It was absolutely terrible. Um, okay, so here's real quick for the second time I got to roll. Dolph Ziggler, who won it. Christian, I'm a big fan of Christian. He should have been in there. You got Cody Rhodes, which still transitioning. It's always decent for him to be in there at all. So Damian Sandow, who didn't make sense. Tensai was in it. Tyson Kidd, Santino Marella, and Sin Cara. That was the worst. That was the worst Money in the Bank roster I've ever seen in WWE history. It was absolutely terrible. All right, for the second time, ladies and gentlemen, Lance Cassidy was his name. Lance Cassidy was Scott Armstrong's name. Ladies and gentlemen, 322 episodes in the book. Thank you for Alex the Pug Porto. I've got some really good things coming up the bat. Just stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Follow me at Crave Wrestling on Pancakes and Powerslams show. Follow me at Chris Prolific. Got some real things, some real huge, awesome things coming up. So follow me at Crave Wrestling. Follow me at Chris Prolific. I'll go ahead and put that here on the chat. Chris Prolific. I've got some really interesting things coming up. Thank you so much. Great podcast is what it said. On behalf of Evan Tech Proud, I am Chris Featherstone. Enjoy your week of wrestling. God bless. And always remember, ladies and gentlemen, I do it for you. Have a great night. Bye-bye.